NGN's presentation of the U.S. Open Ultimate Championships brought to you by Elemental Technologies, perfecting the media experience with multi-screen delivery solutions for the modern world, and Patagonia, team sales and discounts for athletes seeking exceptional quality and peak performance.
Welcome back to Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2014 U.S. Open here in Blaine, Minnesota. I'm Brian Jones here with Megan Multaney. We've got ourselves a great matchup in this third round. Women's division, Scandal versus Fury. Both of them coming off of the finals rematch they had last year. Fury, though, with a couple of losses. Scandal, the defending national champions. And when we're talking about Scandal, we're talking about two main players, Octavia Payne and Sandy Jorgensen.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the dynamic duo for the Scandal's D-line. Sandy Jorgensen is 5'9", but plays much bigger and faster than that. She was a D1 track runner at UW Wisconsin before she made the transition into Ultimate, and she's able to generate a lot of deep Ds for Scandal. Opie Payne is an incredibly explosive defender. You can see her taking on, the top matchups for Fury, especially on handlers, getting blocks, and then what we're looking for in transition is Opie Payne picking up the disc, and you've got a great target in Jorgensen downfield. They are quite a lot to handle from this Scandal D-line.
When we look on the other side, we look at Fury. We look at two big players, Cree Howard and Lisa Picathley. Lisa P, just one of the best players in the women's college division coming off of the season, incredibly athletic, making great bids, great plays and catches in the end zone. And Cree Howard also brings that incredible playmaking ability. Both of these players are going to be fun to watch, and this game is going to be fun to watch, featuring a coaching matchup of Maddie Sang and Alex Gesquier, who have matched up, have played as teammates basically on the USA World squad, and then gone against each other last year in the national championship game.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a great matchup. Last year, these two teams played each other in the U.S. Open Finals here, and at that time, Fury got the better of Scandal, but Scandal kind of got the last note on him by defeating the 7-time world or nation ruling Fury dynasty, and I think in a move that surprised everyone at last year's Club National Championships.
Scandal certainly shocked the nation, if not the world, with that victory. We'll see if they can do it again. Fury, though, reeling a bit. First time back-to-back losses in the tenure of Maddie Sang. Looking for something here, the surprise of the tournament thus far. Just not sure if Fury's not ready for this. We'll see if Scandal can take it to him at the beginning. Wondering which Fury team we're getting. Are we getting Fury last year, or are they just still reeling from that loss?
Last year they only lost 3 times over the entire season, and one of those was to Scandal in that finals of the Club National Championships. Already 2 losses here today, one to Traffic out of Vancouver and one to Brute Squad out of Boston. So definitely, when we're talking about what Fury needs to do to regroup here, we're talking about energy and focus and bringing that into translating that into consistency for this game.
It's certainly going to be a storied matchup. Fury was a 7-time defending national champion last year. No more. Scandal, now the defending titles. And we'll get going here as Scandal starts to take the field. Fury's still in their huddle.
And this is a new position for Scandal to be in. I think they're used to being the underdog. They're used to coming into tournaments, having to prove themselves as a scrappy athletic team. And now for the first time, they're coming into the U.S. Open after that Nationals win last year. And, all of a sudden they have a target on their back. And will be very, so far they've performed under the pressure. They've had a little bit of an easier schedule here today. They have beaten Bamboo out of Columbia and then taken down a young Showdown squad earlier this morning. So we'll have to see, one team coming in with 2 wins, one team coming in with 2 losses, how that's going to affect their mental game as we start out this last game of the women's division today.
We have our observers today, Laura Meyer and Daniel Wong. Will be doing this game for us today. Observers so far have been great. You have to wonder if the sign of Fury being defeated last year and then now starting out the day 0-2, is this a sign of the depth of the women's game starting to rise up?
I think something that, just as we saw in the men's division in terms of consolidation of talent, kind of in those top 4, Revolver, Sockeye, Bravo, and help me out, 4th one.
Sockeye Bravo, Revolver, Ironside.
Ironside. You know, we're seeing the same thing in the women's division. We've had some big roster additions for both of these teams, both Scandal and Fury picking up some interesting players. We've got Sabrina Fong, who's a standout for UCLA, young player coming onto this Fury squad, as well as veterans VY Chow out of Boston and Elizabeth Duffy, who are going to add a lot of depth to this Fury team. You know, and Scandal making similar choices by adding Madeline Frey and Ashley Daly. You know, the top talent consolidation is happening in the women's division as well. We see it in Riot. We see it in Brute Squad. Brute Squad has a scary roster this year. So I think there may be a sign of some more parity, but I think more in general it's a sign of, can Fury come back and remain competitive even when they're in their own heads?
And we're about to get started. And you said the poll is Fury. The rematch of the 2013 national title game is now underway. Scandal picks up and centers the disc. Johnston looking underneath. And a turnover, gives it back to Fury quickly. Fajardo. Casey. Ostak here with Snyder isolated underneath. Another isolation cut. And a turnover gives it right back to Scandal.
So 2 turns to start this point.
Alika Johnston picks up.
Daly. Johnston. Looking for an opportunity up the line. Right into the hands of Fury. Bowen with the D.
Christy Bowen with that D for Fury.
Snyder. Back to Snyder. Both teams trying to find a groove early on. Doriani.
Scandal with pretty flat marks here, and Fury finding a little bit of trouble for their cutters downfield to find that space out wide of the mark. Really just only seeing resets here from the handlers, losing yards, and we're not seeing much downfield penetration whatsoever.
Fletcher. You can see Scandal poaching the lanes, as you say, giving the free reset, and not movement here by Fury means they're going to stagnate. Snyder looking for Bowen. Goes through the hands of Bowen, and another turnover on this first point.
Maggie trying to pick up for Scandal.
Nobody ready to score. Scandal gives it right back.
Just back to Fury.
Despite a diving attempt by Alicia Johnston, Fury is back on the attack.
Ryan looking for the break. Tipped in the air. Bid. Ruled in by the observer.
But not in the end zone.
Not in the end zone yet. Out to space. Scandal gets it right back.
Maggie John steps in front for the D. Scandal disc.
Back to Johnston. Timeout called. Both teams unable to score, string together sets of passes in this early going. And we'll be right back with this opening point here on the Next Gen Network.
Ooh, that was ugly. Oh, I need sunglasses.
Back in action here at the 2014 U.S. Open. Scandal so far, Megan, has been very jumpy in this opening possession.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's uncharacteristic. They seem a little tentative with the disc. All the passes that are coming off have a little bit of wobble to them. We've seen some miscues, just throws going to throwers or cutters who aren't expecting the disc, have yet to really put together some offensive rhythm. Doing a better job here to start as Fury is working this force middle defense and their cutters downfield having to adjust.
Hudson gets it off to Davis. Davis inside break, gets it to John, out to space, hanging. Box out, can't grab it.
So Scandal looking to break around that force middle to score, but the disc just hanging up in the air and receiver unable to come down with it, despite the, again, seeing Alicia Johnston diving in there, trying to keep the play alive.
Poaching the lane again. Snyder with the disc. Lots of wind here early on most of the day. We started off with a clear day, and now we have Fury going downwind. Snyder. Narayan. Casey. Snyder. Long point here. Snyder finds Bowen. Narayan. Ryan to Dariani. Big layout in the end zone, out of bounds.
Oh, and if she could have just towed the line there.
Fury turnover.
But instead, Scandal will have to go upwind again.
Dariani really, with the great effort, almost ends this first possession. We're still here, 0-0. The wind is picking up.
Johnston picks up for Scandal.
Both these teams will be able to handle it. Looking for an option. Able to swing it around. Scandal. Still not much movement upfield, and call on the play.
So we got a pick call. Dariani matching up on Alika Johnston. Dariani, this is her 7th year on the team. She's been with Fury through all those national title wins. A real anchor of this O-line. Oh, and just a turn from Scandal. We'll give it with Alex Snyder in a short field.
Fajardo. Back to Snyder for the break. And the first point of the game, Fury takes it. A long battle back and forth.
It was a long time coming, but a nice little backhand. Bowen able to keep her toes in as the defender comes in, trying to make that block. Fury first on the board.
Looking now at elemental keys to the game. Looking at Scandal, they're going to have to limit Fury's downfield spacing.
So we saw some of that already from them, right? They're going to choose to clog those throwing lanes rather, you know, jumping off of a person. Scandal's D-line can do that because they're athletic enough that they can make up that distance. You know, I think we're going to see that again from them the next time that they're on D. And then the key for them is going to be striking quickly in transition. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to see Opie picking up. We're going to see Jorgensen going deep. When they generate those blocks, can they take Fury by surprise and hit those deep shots before they can really set up their D?
Another D-line out here. Fury, though, they're going to have to maintain energy and focus over the course of the game. And they've already had that lesson, that first long possession, able to move on through, end up with winning that point, which proved to be huge early on. And they're going to have to find a way to contain those fast breaks. As you said, Megan, Jorgensen's going to love to go deep. Can Fury contain her as this game goes on?
So we got Claire Desmond for Fury on the pole.
The wind still pretty heavy now. You have Scandal going downwind. An offside call. Offside. Your repull.
So we're going to see one of the new faces for Fury on this D-line right now, number 37, Liz Duffy. She is a long-time veteran of this sport, big-time player. She's so smart defensively, you know, kind of able to pull off and get Ds at will. And we'll see how she fits into this Fury system as we get going here.
Getting Ds will not be the problem so far in this game, with both teams being very mistake-prone. The wind picking up. Desmond. You see centers to Payne. Payne looking underneath. Jorgensen. O'Connor.
And now Scandal working this force middle much better than the first point.
We'll go on through Johnston. The swing to O'Connor. Looking for Payne. Not there. Bailey. The end zone. Dropped in the end zone. Great bid by Kayla Jorgensen. Puts the pressure on.
Scandal turn. Kayla Jorgensen makes sure with the
Fury now going upwind with a tough task, but could open up a 2-break lead. To Desmond. Jorgensen. Downfield, trying to streak deep. Nazarov to Finney.
You see Alika Johnson dropping off into that lane, forcing it to go back to Nazarov.
Sun. Great downfield defense by Scandal's O-line. Well, Scandal's second line here.
And really more of a true D-line. Usually both Opie and Jurgensen are on this D-line, so coming in for an O point and able to play great D for Fury going upwind.
Duffy able to hang on. Jorgensen, the Sun for the break. Nazarov with the score, 2-0, Fury leads.
And that is much better for Fury, right? To kind of take a breath, find that focus, work the disc. Here's that bid from Jurgensen causing that pressure on Sandy Jurgensen. And then be able to find Nazarov on the turn. You know, we talked about finding the energy, finding the focus. In a crucial moment like this, where it's the second point of the game, you're going upwind, can you grind through with your cutters? And one thing that Fury's known for is how well they distribute their scores. You know, you'll very rarely see the same person scoring over and over, which makes them, you know, every single downfield assignment is a threat. And a really good job that point to distribute the disc, each player doing their best to hang on, and eventually finding Anna Nazarov in the end zone.
The wind has really picked up in this game, but these players are all elite throwers. So far, Fury is taking advantage, been able to score upwind. Scandal trying to stop the bleeding. Scandal's going to have to go upwind to do that.
Alex Snyder on the ball for Fury.
You see here an O-line look here for Fury coming out. Snyder on the field with the pull.
We've also got Cree Howard out on the line. They may be coming with some sort of junk look as we see Snyder and Cree. Howard back as those deep sets.
Looking for Payne. Payne upwind for Jorgensen. Two defenders there. Drifts over the top. Now Fury's going the other way.
This is exactly what we talked about for Fury, right? They go into that jug set. You put your two best, tallest people in Alex Snyder and Cree Howard on Sandy Jurgensen. They put it up anyways, get to come down with the D.
Duffy. Orion. Going deep. Payne is there. Payne with a catch block.
Opie with the D for Scandal.
John. Scandal going the other way, going upwind with his tough task and still a junk look. And the swing over the top gives Fury a short field. And at this point, we're playing an upwind downwind game. You cannot afford to have turnovers and give Fury a short field in this instance and then leave a player wide open here near the goal line.
Yeah, Scandal just not able to find those assignments quick enough.
Casey. Back to Snyder. The swing to Duffy. Snyder. Flip for the goal in the 3-0 lead. Crucial mistake. Fury takes advantage.
And right there, that Scandal defender trying to pull off of Alex Snyder, but you're just too close to the end zone. You give that much space to Snyder near the end zone, and she's just going to find that easy break.
We'll have to see if Alex Gesquier can regroup now with Scandal, because this has turned into an upwind downwind game. And with the wind picking up the way it is, around 20 miles an hour at least, we have tents blowing us around us, and you're going to have to change your strategy here and really make sure that you secure those downwind points. And then if you're going upwind, you have Opie Payne. You just got to put it deep. And we'll see right now if Scandal can adjust. We'll be right back with first half action here in the women's division on the Next Gen Network. Back here in first half action, 2014 U.S. Open here on the Next Gen Network. Ourselves Fury coming back with a vengeance. Megan needing something to prove here in this first half.
You know, absolutely. Kind of going into this U.S. Open, you know, Scandal is the returning champ. There's high expectations for them. There's also been a lot of hype surrounding Riot and Brute Squad. Riot being healthy for the first time in many years. Brute Squad kind of having a crazy roster change. And so Fury kind of being that odd man out in that top 4, really having to come in with something to prove, starting the day 0-2, and now meeting you know, kind of their newly established rivals in Washington, D.C. And so far, they've been the better team up to the task, and Scandal just coming out a little flat. And now that it's become an upwind, downwind game, Fury's put themselves in a great position to continue dominating this game.
Vertical stack for Scandal. And just another miscommunication. Nothing going right at the moment for Scandal. And another short field, and this time upwind for Fury.
And Scandal has to apply pressure here.
Snyder. Near the end zone, looking to break yet again for the 4-0 lead. Snyder. Fajardo, this one's gonna pop up in the corner, going out of bounds. That one wasn't gonna be catchable anyway.
Alden Fletcher trying to make the play there. And that, you know, Fury, that was the chance, right? Just a little more patience, and you have broken 3 in a row. You've broken upwind, and now you get to play your D going downwind, and that is just a missed opportunity for the San Francisco team.
Johnston to John. Johnston. Nobody going deep, and you're going downwind. Not much movement here by the Cutters. You can hear the sideline being very active here. Fury calling out the force middle. Ito. Hudson. Johnston. Johnston up the line. A lot of swinging. Call on the play. Looks like it's going to be back a couple throws.
You know, Scandal's handlers doing a good job to keep things going here in light of the fact that their downfield Cutters seem so stagnant, so reticent to go deep. Alika Johnston, who's a standout for Virginia, you know, really known for her quick movement, feisty little throws, and her ability to keep the resets alive is gonna what's gonna keep Scandal, or at least get Scandal back into this game.
Ito. To John. Another pick situation. Scandal hangs on.
Just back to Maggie John. Just coming in on 4.
As you mentioned before, it could have been another break for Fury, and this one was going upwind. Another chance with your defense to put the pressure on going downwind, but now Scandal's marching downfield. Able to handle it and regroup a little bit. Hudson. Davis. To Johnston, pops up. Daryani comes down with it for Fury, going the other way. Fajardo. Snyder. Another long point for both teams here in this early going. Late bid. Snyder puts it out. Fajardo. Scandal is there. Daly has the energy, comes down with it.
You know, that's that look there from Snyder. She wants that point to be over. She wants them to get that upwinder, but that defender has great position on Fajardo and able to make the play. Not the best decision from Snyder, despite it being a decent throw.
The wind has calmed for a bit. Jorgensen comes on after an injury call.
Sandy Jorgensen on the field for Daly.
Daly's going to take an injury after that play.
Smart substitution here for Scandal. They really want to score this downwinder. Why not put in your best, your biggest deep shot target and open up this game a little bit?
Scandal walks it up to the cone. John back with Hudson and Johnston. So much respect for Jorgensen being backed by a good 5 yards. And still trying to take it deep, and they're going to throw it deep anyway. And Jorgensen is almost going to run it down.
That's that closing speed we were talking about. You still have smart play from Alex Snyder to pull off. And Jorgensen still were being able to run past 2 defenders, not close the gap, but certainly a strong attempt.
Well, it's time for Scandal to recognize that they're pulling off 2 defenders as Fury is going for the 4-0 lead, and they get it. Another break, upwind, and they're cruising right now with no signs of stopping.
And Scandal's going to have to take a serious look kind of at their game plan. You know, they're kind of, what they're known for is having a game plan and executing it. And thus far today, it feels like Fury has been able to unsettle them. They both have neither executed nor have really been able to establish what that game plan looks like in terms of dealing with Fury's force middle. You know, the Cutters really need to make adjustments, be more dynamic, and look for those opportunities to go deep down the middle off of a swing to a handler who can then come back around. And just none of that has happened, and it looks confused downfield.
As we go back to, and Jorgensen able to pull off 2 players, 3 players at one point. All Scandal has to do is pump fake the throw, have the other people come under, and it's going to open the game wide open for them. They just have not been able to put it in the end zone. And right now they just need to score. You need to kind of calm yourself down, and you can lose confidence early on in games like these. You need to focus at the point at hand. Gasquier putting in fresh players as opposed to going with a standard O-line.
You know, it's important here for Scandal's O-line to not feel like they all have to make the play. When everyone feels like they have to do it, it's almost as if no one can.
Payne gets it through the cup, a zone look. Payne, O'Connor.
There's a 3-person cup, but it's almost man in the backfield, really giving those handlers not a lot of looks. Although Johnston able to slot one through.
Payne. Bid by Jorgensen, can't get there, and another drop. Johnston. Fury with a chance to go downwind. Finney picking up the disc. Nazaroff is wide open. Scandal has just made some puzzling plays as this goes up for Duffy. Payne giving chase. Duffy with the grab. 5-0 Fury. The train keeps on rolling.
Wow, this is not what I expected. You know, we knew Liz Duffy was going to come into this game and contribute. That is a big score for them. They get the downwind break. You know, we see Kimberly Beach trying to stop that huck. Opie not able to close the gap despite an athletic bid, and Liz Duffy just so veteran, using her body, boxing out, and getting that disc right at the back of the end zone.
Right now, if you're Fury and Scandal, Fury wants this wind to keep on going and drag out this game. The wind has been gusting and kind of slowing down here and there. If this wind keeps up, Scandal might have a chance to extend this game, get a couple of upwind breaks, and go. But if it calms down, Fury's just going to be able to, they have the 5-point lead, come out and use their offense, not like they know how.
You know, I think Fury will, you know, I think what we can expect from Fury is not for them to be content with a 5-point lead over the reigning national champions. You know, they are a team who always is here to win, they're always here to compete, and they always want more. You know, they've got their sights set both on Lecco in a few weeks, as well as back in Frisco in October, and so they're really going to be, you know, foot on the gas pedal, kind of no let up for this Scandal team.
5-0, Jorgensen with the pull. Scandal going downwind, yet to see the end zone in this game. Trying to center to Payne, but defense gets down in time. John. Payne now with the disc. Hudson. Daly. Hudson to the middle. Good yardage gainer. Whitner. Back to Payne. Pick called on the play.
This is better now from Scandal's handlers to find those slotted balls around those flat marks.
Payne. Wickner. Overthrown, another unforced turnover. Going the other way now with Nazarov.
Nice little switch there from Fury, or from Scandal, able to slow Fury down, but Castle Synchrope with the disc. Jorgensen with a lot of space.
Jorgensen. Nazarov. One-handed grab. Dansker. Synchrope. Nazarov. Fury marching upwind, now to a 6-0 lead. Back with a vengeance.
And I don't think anyone expected this to happen, but this is exactly what Fury needed. You know, you come in to the first tournament of the Triple Crown Tour, you lose the first 2 games, and with your biggest opponent yet to face, and able to rally, able to incorporate new players into your roster. Liz Duffy making an immediate impact for this Fury team. We saw her with this score, we saw her with the last score. You know, Fury looking like the Fury of old, and Scandal just looking rocked. We've seen a different line out there each point. Gascari trying to mix things up. We still see OP Payne kind of anchoring that line, but just so many unforced errors from Scandal. They look so shaken.
It's not taking their time. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. You can see a couple players, though, trying to bring the energy up, trying to keep a positive attitude. Need to find some confidence, need to build that up, need to have a successful point, and you can't think about what has already happened.
Scandal now to receive going upwind. Got a long way to go.
Gotta wonder if, with Fury losing their first 2 games, were they looking ahead? Because right now they were very prepared to start off this game in the right way.
And we see this forced middle look again, but with some dropping off of those handlers, forcing Scandal to slot into some narrow throwing positions.
Payne looking deep. O'Connor.
O'Connor, not usually a deep target, usually a handler.
Payne in for the goal to Daly. Scandal on the board with an upwind possession, and that's pretty big. 6-1. Still a huge lead to overcome.
Well, had to start with something. Looked like Lisa Pitt-Caithley had pulled off her girl there momentarily, and Payne able to exploit that. Hitting O'Connor off of the deep shot, back to Payne, and into Daly for the score. And as expected, you know, the person who's going to make plays, who's going to get Scandal back into this is OP Payne. And we saw that both with the upwind huck and with the score there. So Scandal now able to take a second, regroup. They're going downwind. They're getting to play D. If they're gonna roll, this is where it's got to start.
Fury, though, scared by 1 point by Scandal. Maddie Sang calls a timeout, but as we go back to our elemental keys of the game, early on, we talked about Fury having to maintain energy and focus. And right now, that's what Maddie Sang is trying to do, saying we're up 6-1, close at the half here, make it, if you're going to make it 8-2, come away with a victory like that. Come away still up 6, maintain your energy, and the second one contain Jorgensen deep. We've seen 3 people guard Jorgensen deep so far, Megan.
And we've seen Scandal fail to recognize that and capitalize on those unders. You know, that they've put it up into double, triple coverage every time. And so just taking that extra moment to recognize the space that she's created, I think will definitely help them capitalize once from her downfield presence. You know, Maddie Sang is such a game management expert, right? He doesn't want Scandal to get back in. You know, you get all fired up, you get a line out, just take a second. He's a perfectionist. He says, what are these adjustments we can make? What can we expect, you know, from the Scandal team coming down right now? And let's be sure that we are not going to squander in any way the good work that we've already done in the opening plays of this half.
You don't want Scandal to be able to go on and get a couple breaks in a row and make this a 4 or 3 point game going into halftime, which is much more manageable for a team, you know, that really ran away at the end of that game in the national championship, basically making a statement, saying we're going to win convincingly, not just win and have it be close. Right now, Fury though, that revenge factor. I just wonder if today they had their sights set on this last game. They dropped 2 for the first time in Maddie Sang's tenure and said, well, hey, we were the 7-time defending national champions. You're only the 1-time defending national champions. Let's go.
But that's what the kind of grit and expertise of a team, as storied and dynasty as Fury is, to say, you know what, we've never been beaten 2 times in a row. We're gonna go out and beat the reigning national champions. That's some real mental gur right there.
Fajardo. Casey in zone here from Scandal. Looks like a 3-person cup. Payne playing the middle of the field. Jorgensen playing deep and just playing in, just saying, you know what, with this wind and my deep ability, I'm just going to play underneath here.
Oh, she can cover that ground. You almost have to think she's baiting it at this point.
Fajardo. I mean, with the wind the way it is, I would be playing much further in, giving Payne some assistance, really collapsing that field. Looking through the cup, and Scano gets the D they need.
It's Jesse O'Connor with that point block, back to Payne.
And where is Jorgensen on this fast break? Jorgensen has some space, all alone downfield. Scano, though, now trying to work it into the end zone for the score. Is there a pick on the play? There is a pick called. This one's going to be coming back.
Well, good work by Kimberly Beach to hold on to that, to maintain possession for Scandal there. Wasn't the easiest catch.
Scandal's going to need to prove it again. Roenvall with the disc. Scandal can cut the deficit to 3 points with a score here.
The pick did affect the play. Disc comes back to hold the ground ball.
We get started again. Looking up the line. Beach can't make the grab.
That's Ness Fajardo with that D for Fury.
Center field now, Fury over the top, hanging. Great grab. Jorgensen. Sadler gets it back to Payne.
Fury just not able to handle the win there. Grunwald making a nice defensive play, giving Scandal the short field to get another one in and stop the bleeding.
Jorgensen in the goal. Now they cut the deficit to 4. Fury still in control.
And doing a better job this time to work the disc, to grind, to find that lateral movement and not force things unnecessarily.
Able to work it around.
Jorgensen just making that quick 1-2 step, and once she's got that separation, she's gone, despite being marked by Michaela Meister, who was a standout for Stanford. Had a tough year last year with an ACL injury. It's good to see her back, but that is going to be a tough matchup for anyone. Looks like Coach Gascari is discussing with the Observer. They were issued a TMF for rushing the field too early. So just having a few words about that, making sure they're all on the same page. Want to avoid, in a windy situation like this, you want to avoid any situations where you're going to wind up with yardage assessment for those kinds of mistakes.
Payne getting set to pull. Jorgensen on the field as well. They came down zone last possession. However, now Scandal is going up against Fury, who's going downwind. Finney running to the disc, puts it in the sideline after a roller pull.
Great pin on the sideline. Finney looking back for Nazarov. Gets the disc off the sideline. Out to Jorgensen. Too high. Jorgensen with a drop. O'Connor. Back to Payne. Payne. Too far, too high. With a great opportunity there. Putting it deep to Nazarov. Great shot for the goal. Fury answers back.
And Fury making them pay for that mistake there. We thought it was going to be a moment. We thought this game was going to change with that Kayla Jorgensen drop. That was going to be 3 breaks for Scandal. Or 2 breaks, excuse me, 3 in a row for Scandal. And instead, Anna Nazarov just making that deep run from the handler position. Finney putting a great throw out to space. And Fury back in the lead by 5.
Trying to make those throws in tight situations. You have an upwind possession with about 30 yards to go. You have to secure the disc, and you have time in the stall count. There's no need to move it that quickly.
You can understand the temptation to move it quickly, but in the wind, you just have to take that extra second to be sure. And squandering an upwind break is, that's a tough pill to swallow just on an unforced error. So Scandal, really having to, OB Payne and Sandy Jorgensen are playing great right now defensively, and then just need to take 1 more second when they're going upwind to really secure that break for Scandal.
It really seems that Scandal is unable to play at the pace they want to play at. They want to play fast, they want to play loose, but Fury's taking advantage of that, and they're taking away their typical fast break. Scandal needs to either do, a better job of identifying who's open, or either be comfortable with settling down and finding that identity in this wind. Because right now, Fury has their game plan set. They know what they want to do. And Scandal doesn't have an identity. They've been switching up lines. They haven't given one line to be consistent. It's been tough in this opening half of this game.
Absolutely. Fury coming down now with a poachy zone look.
Yoshin.
Now transitioning into man.
Johnston. Fake steep. Daly. John to the end zone. Nazarov gets up, gets the block.
That's great heads up D there by Nazarov. Now Scandal back on the defensive. Can Fury march it up the field for this upwind and take half?
Fake steep. Now looking for the break. Desmond. Jorgensen puts it up. Not sure
what she was seeing there. The Scandal player looked like she was well deep of Ness Fajardo, but some sloppy play from Jorgensen will give Scandal the disc back. Chance to stay alive in this first half.
There were several positions where you could put it on the field. None of them were great ideas, but looked like that was directly for Hudson. Scandal going the other way.
And a turf throw gives it back, right back to Fury.
Nazarov really been strong in his first half, going deep with the throws and the presence of mind on that D. Sun. Nazarov. Desmond in isolation, gets pump faked. High stall situation, now to Desmond. So tough to guard in those situations for Nazarov. That one is too high. McClellan gets the D.
And good pressure here from Scandal to keep Fury looking at that high stall count situation, having to put something up.
John.
Just gets away from Desmond, and Nazarov just pops right over.
John on the line.
Fury using these poaches well to keep them stuck on the sideline. And again, a turn from the same place.
Jorgensen. Finney. Pump fakes. Now looking around. Nazarov. Too high, tipped in the air. Can't make the grab. Sinekrope doesn't come down with it. Scandal going fast break the other way. John going to the end zone. Johnston puts it up to Maggie John for the score. Scandal answers 7-3.
And that time they were able to perform and execute at the pace that they've been wanting to. Lisa Johnson doing a good job to hustle and get the disc back, and just able to find a great look there from number 21, Maggie John.
And that's an acceptable pace to play when going downwind. And going back to the first turnover, you give Fury a short field. If you get into a high stall situation where you're not sure about the pass, that's got to be a punt and play D there in this wind.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that Fury's struggled, you know, to execute on some of these upwind throws, so there's no reason to give them the benefit of the doubt and give them a short field, you know, to take half. Might as well make it hard for them, make them work it up, and instead you're able to get a turn out of it and convert.
7-3. Scandal. If Scandal comes out right now, plays the best defense of the game, surely they're going to get a turn. And if they can convert on that, more importantly, that's a 7-4 game, and you've got a downwind possession to make this 7-5. That's what's manageable. You have to, if you're Gesquier, you've got to have your all-star lineup out there, and we see Payne and Jorgensen. Both of them more than capable of making a huge play. We see the roller pole trying to pin them on the sideline, and they miss it, and it's going to be on the sideline with a chance to set up. Tough on Snyder. It's the disc.
Doing well.
Going deep. Jorgensen is there.
And I'm loving this. Oh, and they just give it right back to Dariani.
And that's where this pace is getting them into trouble. They need to understand that, yes, you're going to get the D, but going upwind, you cannot play that pace unless you have a one-on-one matchup where you're going to throw it to Jorgensen, and they haven't had that.
Looks like Dariani's coming out with an injury, and Chrissy Bowen will be in for her. Fury looking to take it to half right here.
Just coming in on 2.
Around Picathley. Make sure that one's staying alive.
Picathley has been pretty quiet so far. Jorgensen getting that D on her from that deep shot from Alex Snyder. Now looking to go deep, and let's see, can Jorgensen make up that ground? Yes, and well out of bounds.
I'm Gesquier at this point. You have to tell them to be patient. If it's a one-on-one matchup with Jorgensen, sure, take the shot. But you have to be able to work it up against this upwind situation.
We see Picathley switching off of Jorgensen.
O'Connor.
Ryan is going to pick up that matchup.
And again, throwing into a poach, not taking the time. Picathley, short field for Fury. Over the top for Snyder, and that's half, 8-3. Fury has rocked Scandal in this opening half of this third round of the U.S. Open. Come back with a vengeance, Megan.
Well, Scandals, they're going to be so disappointed with themselves going into this half. You know, so many of these turns and these wounds have been self-inflicted. Throwing into poaches, just making a great play on D and just zero conservation of greatness, immediately giving it back. You know, all of those things are very mentally defeating for a team, and they're going to have to take some serious time to regroup and see how they can come back stronger this second half.
Fury has just taken that pace of play that you talked about with Scandal and just turned it on its head by forcing middle, poaching, making them make those fast decisions that have not worked out for them. We'll see in the second half if Scandal can make a comeback. It's going to be tough. Fury leads by 5 going into the second half.
NGN's presentation of the U.S. Open Ultimate Championships brought to you by Elemental Technologies, perfecting the media experience with multi-screen delivery solutions for the modern world, and Patagonia, team sales and discounts for athletes seeking exceptional quality and peak performance.
Back here at the U.S. Open 2014 in the third round of the day in the women's division,
Fury has come back with a vengeance after the loss in the national title game, leading 8-3. And looking at Scandal, one of the big reasons why they're not in the game right now is their pacing of play.
Absolutely, just, you know, trying to do too much, too fast. You know, you have your big players like Opie Payne, you know, wanting to will that goal to happen and just not taking the extra time, especially going upwind, just having unfortunate short field turnovers.
On the other side, Fury has really turned that pace against Scandal, using force middle, using poaching, knowing what they're wanting to do, and then dropping off 2 to 3 defenders deep on Sandy Jorgensen. Fury comes down on offense. Snyder makes a catch in traffic. Fajardo. Narayan. Pakaithley. The wind has settled down here in the second half as Fury moves upfield with no problem. Now on the end line. Bowen to the end zone. Elisa Pakaithley for the score. Fury continues their momentum. 9-3 they lead.
And Fury just made that look easy. They created, you know, like we talked about, one of the things Scandal really has to do is contain their spacing. Fury's so good at using the full width and depth of the field, finding many different handlers, or many different cutters, distributing the disc well, and then on a high stall count, Christy Bowen able to break that mark and just hit a wide open Lisa Pakaithley. This is pretty textbook O, and Scandal not doing a lot to make it look hard for Fury going upwind.
The throws were there this time. You have to wonder if, with the wind dying down, was Scandal just maybe expecting a little bit easier of possession, or expecting the throws to not be available?
You can certainly get into that mindset easily when you're going downwind, that it kind of operates as a, you know, 8th defender, more or less, on your team. And we see it, you know, it's kind of gusty right now. It feels it's blowing hard right now, but it certainly wasn't during that point. We're also seeing Cree Howard, after that injury, is now out and in flip-flops, so we won't be seeing her the rest of today. She joins Maggie Rudin on the sidelines, who's a really wonderful cutter for Fury, and she is sidelined today as well.
More poaching here, leading to about force middle for Fury. Johnston. Honey Hudson, unmarked, big gainer. Daly, Goshen, John, Wickner, Ronval, Daly, Scandal marching upfield, trying to answer in the second half for the goal. 4 points on the board for Scandal now. A better start to the second half. But with the wind dying down, it may be too late. This lead may be insurmountable. We'll have to see now with another D-line coming out with Jorgensen and Payne.
Yeah, that was a nice find from Maggie John in that end zone. Fury coming out with that force middle, which allows their downfield defenders to kind of sit on that inside hip. But if you can break the mark that easily, that just leaves the corners of that end zone wide open. Nice little find there to get Scandal's D-line back on track.
We were easily at 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, and maybe gusts even larger than that in the first half, and now the wind has died down, still blowing. We're more in the 5 to 10 mile an hour range.
You know, the last Scandal came out of half in a pretty solid man look going downwind, and Fury able to handle it very easily. I would expect Coach Gasqueri to come up with something a little bit different here. They want to get these breaks back. Every time they're going downwind, they've got to be thinking, how are we going to get this break? How are we going to make it hard? How are we going to force Fury to throw a lot of throws? So let's expect to see something other than just a straight up man here from Scandal's D-line.
Opie on the pull for Scandal.
Payne getting set to pull. Going to use the wind in this one. Nazaroff. Isolation by Bowen in the middle of the field.
not a lot of movement from Fury's cutters.
Back to Nazarov. Keithley. Nazarov.
Fury just losing a lot of yards here. This is nice pressure by Scandal and good patience by Fury.
Nobody available. High stall. Fury still playing the patience game.
Fury still looking for that breakthrough moment. Scandal, much better defensive pressure.
Fong.
This Payne-Nazarov matchup is going to be fun to watch.
Inside break. Opening up some space here. Keithley looking underneath. Now inside. And goes right to Scandal. O'Connor looking for Jorgensen. Jorgensen versus Keithley. And Jorgensen toes the line in for the score. Scandal with the break.
And that is exactly that quick transition strike that Scandal's been missing in this game. Like you said, that's the time when you hit Jorgensen, when she's one-on-one. She's got Keithley on her, but she's got speed. She's got the legs. And just a great hit. O'Connor doesn't blink, hits that flick hook. And Jorgensen doing a great job to have that field awareness and toe it in at the end.
Everybody getting in the middle of the field here for Fury. Looks like it's going to be a timeout on the play. Not sure. Fury there is a timeout called on the play, and we'll see if Scandal can make a great comeback here in the second half. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2014 U.S. Open. And we're back here in Minnesota at the 2014 U.S. Open. As you can see by looking at the flags, this is a different game entirely now in the second half. There's barely any wind right now. The way that Fury was able to get the lead was on unforced errors by Scandal going into the wind, and that's not there right now. If the Scandal defense can step up, this 4-point lead could really go away quickly.
Absolutely. We've got another big D line in for Scandal. Jorgensen back there. O'Connor gonna look to see them shut down, forcing Fury back, forcing them to throw lots of throws.
It is just incredible the pressure that Sandy Jorgensen has. She gave Keithley 10 yards of space at the beginning. Jorgensen getting the underneath. Beach going deep. Jorgensen putting this up, gonna hang. Fury gets it right back, and this is where the pacing hurts. We've talked about this so much. Up the line. Jorgensen just playing center field. Going deep. Can Jorgensen's catch up? Too far for Nazarov.
And Jorgensen was guarding no one there. Jen LaRoche had an unmarked throw, put it deep to Nazarov, able to apply that pressure. And Scandal will get it back.
Jorgensen just has to understand you can't just throw it away going upwind. Injury called on the play.
There's a little bit of contact there with Sabrina Fong.
That or a foul.
Looks like it's going to be a foul. Fong wound up on the ground after a hit there with Grunwald.
Jessica staying with Maggie John.
Scandal with a chance. Could cut this lead to 3. And this could be a huge swing for Scandal. Play still waiting to restart here. Now we're on the observers. Jorgensen open. Beach makes the grab, not in, going the other way. Another unforced error. Nazarov looking backfield. Fong Son, inside break. Grabbed by Nazarov. Into the end zone for Bowen for the score. 10-5. Fury still with the lead.
For Christy Bowen and the Fury score. That's Fury 10, Scandal 5.
Take another look at the score. Nazarov, great little grab. And just easy into Christy Bowen. You know, I think what's happening, you know, as Scandal is trying to find a way to get back into this game, they're asking their top players to do a little bit too much. You know, Sandy Jurgensen is an amazing defensive presence, but she's not a pinpoint thrower, and we've seen 2 turns from her in that possession. One on the throw out of bounds to Kimberly Beach, and one on the deep look. And she just needs to be comfortable getting the disc back in the hands of other people, distributing the disc, making her play, and being that role player. And the pressure, you know, from knowing that you have to be the person to make that play can often force these kinds of these unforced errors.
Surely been a story of unforced errors, but how we got there, looking back on the game recap, Fury opens up a 5-0 lead to start off this game. Actually, 6-1, they were up, and they did it on force middle, slowing down the pace and taking the advantage of how fast Scandal wants to play in this wind. Now in the second half, the wind has died down up to a little bit now, around 5 to 10 miles an hour, but not having the same effect. Scandal has been their own worst enemy, and yet it still feels like if Scandal could put it together, Megan, that this game isn't out of reach.
There are moments of brilliance. There are moments of defensive brilliance where Fury has to go backwards and backwards and backwards and makes a mistake, and then they're at the door, but it's just too much.
Johnson over the top. Both players bidding for it. It was McClellan.
And that was Castle Sinecrope who pulled off to help Kayla Jurgensen back there with that D.
See here. McClellan going over the top, and there was contact. So there's some discussion whether or not it was a foul. Both players still discussing it out. The observer is right there. Laura Meyer. Contested play coming back now to the receiver.
Disc is coming back.
After a lengthy discussion.
We'll see here if Scandal can find a little bit of patience
Disc goes back to Alika Johnson.
on this O-line to grind out this downwinder and not try and force those deep looks into double coverage. Giving the handlers a lot of room here. Desmond's post off into the lane.
At this point, you're past half field. There's a certain point where you want to work it. Now Johnson around 30 yards out, and you're going downwind. Take your time. And Scandal doing just that now. McClellan. They called on the play. Maggie John with the disc.
Disc will stay with Maggie John.
Fury forcing back into the middle here.
John looking to break.
Nice pressure here from Alicia Dansker, just shutting down Johnston.
Davis looking for John. Forced to go back, tipped in the air. John comes down with it. Inside break for the score to Daly. Daly's been all over the place today. Main presence on this O-line.
Well, Maggie John doing well to hang on to that after a little bobble and then use the space she created with that mark to hit that IO to Daly for the score.
Daly has to go up, but she comes down with it. Down by 4, Scandal. Still with a chance to make a run. But with the wind in the first half, we have to be approaching cap relatively soon.
And so despite not completing that deep look, Scandal getting the disc back, working it more patiently, finding open cutters on that break side, and now able to get out your D-line. The time is growing short for Scandal to make this run at rolling off a few breaks here. It's not enough to just allow Fury to score the downwinder and hope to counter.
If you have any questions today or tomorrow, be sure to find us on Twitter, me at @NoLookScuba, @no_look_scuba. Megan?
At Megan Multenny.
Shout out to Mike and Allie. Glad to be giving you this game. Glad you can watch it from Cape Cod. It's a great day for Ultimate here in Blaine, Minnesota. The wind has died down, the sun is out, and Fury trying to close out this game, get revenge for their championship loss, although this will only be the start if Fury comes away with a win. We got Worlds, we have Frisco.
We have later in this tournament, we've got bracket play. They could very well be seeing each other sooner rather than later.
Uncontested foul. Just coming in on 1.
Desmond Jorgensen. Sinacrope. Scandal giving the unders now. And tipped, but into the hands for the goal. Casey comes down with it.
Sandy Jorgensen with a nice bit on the D. Unfortunately, it just results in a MAC for a score.
And that was well read by Jorgensen to come off her defender and try and get that little poach D on Lauren Casey, but just not enough.
Lauren Casey with that catch in the end zone for the Fury score. That's Fury 11.
The Fury started well on this possession with that flood play from that side stack, hitting that break immediately to Desmond, and then they were able to work the entire length of the field, just hitting open under after open under. Just a little bit too easy from Scandal's D-line.
It's the last game of today, but tomorrow we're going to have action in the Open and Women's Division. Be sure to tune in. And we'll also be bringing you the last round on Saturday. 7 pool play games, and then the mixed semifinal here on NextGen Network. 11-6, Fury leads.
And as the wind dies down and the sun burns brighter, definitely getting a little warm out here at Blaine. Third game of the day, you know, players feeling that heat, feeling that drain. And it's all a matter of can you overcome it in the waning moments of a big game and see if Scandal has enough to put it away and go on a little run of their own.
Starts with an offensive possession. Hudson looking underneath. The Ocean to John, overthrown. Fast break opportunity. Ryan.
And there've been a couple miscues downfield. There are a lot of Fury cutters without marks.
And this one going to the end zone. Narayan for the score, lays out. Fury up 12-6. And that may be all she wrote on this game. 6-point lead in the second half.
Just miscue after miscue for Scandal after the kind of botched dump here. Leave 3 people open downfield. Nancy Sun able to hit a beautiful little backhand across the field to Narayan, laying out. No defender near her.
(12-6) lead, unforced errors. Scandal's going to come away from this game going, we did this to ourselves. And let's hope again they meet in bracket play, because if the adjustment by Fury has been this much, you can imagine that Scandal, with their competitive nature, is going to want to come right back and give it to them. But we may not get that bracket play matchup. If Brute Squad and Traffic have been playing as well as they have been against a team like Fury, you know, we have yet to see Riot in this tournament.
We'll get to see them tomorrow, facing some Europeans headed over from London.
Iceni. We'll also see Revolver versus Ironside in the men's division, as well as Sakai facing off against Johnny Bravo in the morning. Sakai, Bravo, and Ironside Revolver, all 4 of those teams expected to be in the Open Division semifinals. And then after, we have Scandal and Fury, which we expect to be in those top 4. Megan, is there anybody, you know, after that, what's the depth like in the women's division?
You know, I think if it were any other year, you know, you'd toss around names like Traffic. You'd toss around names like Showdown, but with so much consolidation at the top, I think we're really expecting it to be kind of a story of those 4 teams. And a nice little put there from Alika Johnston. Oh, it was a sassy throw over the top, but Alden Fletcher able to get up and get that D.
Fury going the other way. Kevin, are you sure it's Liz Penny and not Liz Duffy? Fury going downfield. Ooh. Huge bid by Opie Payne. Can't get there, and Fury trying to strike deep. It's going to go back to Scandal.
That bid there opens up Finney to hit that backhand, but Narayan just not have the wheels, a little too fast. Scandal going to march it up the field again.
John Payne. Payne has not played in those last few points. And Payne has not had the greatest game either, trying to go too fast, a lot of unforced errors.
And Fury doing a great job containing here with those little steps out into the lane.
Daly looking deep for the score, 12-7.
And that is a fun throw. That's a little break flick around. Sabrina Fong there to the cutter, streaking deep.
We'll see here. Going to take a look at the Patagonia play of the game. Liz Duffy of Fury. You were wondering, Megan, early on, would she integrate well into this squad? And you know what? After being able to catch a deep pass, make a presence known, and play sound defense, especially against Jorgensen. This one right here, though, she's able to get it deep. Opie Payne almost making herself the play of the game. That's the Patagonia play of the game here on Next Gen Network.
So Liz Duffy coming on to fill some veteran shoes for Fury. We see the departure of Liz Penny, who's a longtime face of Fury. We're talking about some roster turnover, also losing Julia Sherwood and Claire Sharman, kind of that young Oregon cohort. You know, but some nice pickups in Sabrina Fong, young UCLA player. We haven't seen Ui Chow out here yet, but she's come over from Bird Squad and will certainly lend a lot of experience.
Looking for Duffy, high stall situation here. I'm gonna toss it up. Beach is there as defender, grabbed by Fury. Clancy able to come down with it. Fajardo. Sinacrope now near the end zone. Fajardo. And shade, temporary shade here. Desmond for the score. 13-7. Fury now can walk this one in. All but over.
Nice bit of athleticism here by Claire Desmond. Just getting open on that open side. Just burning the defender. Sometimes when it's late in the game, you just have to take it on yourself to find those jets and get to that open side. I think here for, you know, we can talk about what Scandal's going to take away from this game. They have to remember that they are, you know, they are missing a few people here this weekend. They have pickup Raha Mozafari, who they're going to be taking with them to Worlds, and Lecco, who's actually at this tournament but playing in the mixed division with AMP, and she will certainly give them a lot of firepower when they're over there in Italy. But some of their newer pickups, like Maggie John, has certainly contributed, as well as Ashley Daly. You know, so if Scandal's looking for a few things to take away from this weekend, or at least from this game, you know, they can rest confident in the fact that those, you know, newer players are finding some chemistry. They've combined for a number of goals here today, and definitely already big contributors to the Scandal team as they look to get over this loss, which is sure to be imminent at this point. and have their sights set on Worlds and Nationals.
This late in the game with how long the points have gone, even if Scandal could rally off the next 7 points, not sure they would get it in time before hard cap. John looking for Johnston. Near the entire sideline calling out the force. Still using that force middle. John to the end zone. In traffic for the goal.
And that's Daly again.
Maggie John into the end zone for Ashley Daly, and the Scandal score.
Despite good pressure by Liz Duffy, able to just sneak it in at that front cone.
13.
So Scandal bringing it within 5 here, but all Fury needs to do is punch 2 more in, and that's the game.
(13 to 8). 5-point lead. After this round of competition, the U.S. Open will have the convention. Majority of the players, I think, would go to this. Good chance for all the international teams to learn to present what they found. The U.S. Open certainly has grown. Last year, really doing a good job of getting the competitive teams.
Well, the first year, Elmo, running into trouble with some wildfire out in Colorado and having to move locations and off to a little bit of a rocky start. But we're at a beautiful complex here in Blaine, Minnesota. Good showing from international teams. In the women's division, that's Bamboo from Colombia and Iceni from London. We saw earlier today the men's London team, Clapham here. So it's fun to see. I think we're so used to, we know the names and the familiar matchups and the old rivalries, but it's pretty fun to have some new faces, both as kind of observers and commentators, but I think for the players as well. It's always an exciting situation.
It's a great lead-in for Worlds, which I'm lucky enough to have the chance to go to. Be there doing commentary for the World Club Championships, which we'll see those big 4 men's division teams that we talked about. Also these 2 teams, I believe, as well, joining the women's division.
See a little bit of a zone look here from Scandal. A 3-person cup with a 3-wall and Sandy Jurgensen hanging out there back deep.
Nazarov just had an incredible first half. Didn't matter whether she was throwing it, getting the D, or going deep even from the handler position. That versatility can just, when done well.
And it's so great to see her back and healthy and dominant. She's had a few rough years and struggled with injury, but looking pain-free and very dynamic out there today.
Sun.
Good containment here from Scandal. Fury only able to throw kind of small gainers, not able to use the width of the field particularly well.
Over the top. Beach almost going with the bid. Nazarov. Jorgensen. You can just look downfield and see Jorgensen just walking around, not worried about anything. And then we have a horn for soft cap. And we have a timeout on the field for Fury. And we'll see if Fury can actually close out this game with the time remaining. 13-8 they lead. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2014 U.S. Open. Back here in the second half action, 2014 U.S. Open in the women's division, the rematch of the national championship game back in 2013. Fury facing off against Scandal, trying to avenge their loss and start their season off right.
And Scandal trying to kind of make some late changes in this game as far as their defensive strategy, throwing this zone to slow down Fury. Looked to rattle off a couple of breaks late here. Had a few miscues, but Fury's been able to handle it.
Fury built this lead, started off with a great strategy and great game plan to counter the Scandal team, and you have to give credit here where credit's due, and Matty Sang getting his team ready. First time they've had back-to-back losses in his tenure, and that's pretty incredible for it to take this long. I think it's a sign of the depth of the women's division. And now you come out, you go against a team that finally ended your reign as they scored to go up 14-8. Great movement by Fury. You come out against a team that ended your reign of 7 straight championships, and you respond this way.
Well, if there's one thing that Matty's saying is it's positive. You'll never see him get down on his team. You'll never see him kind of bow his head. I think he has forever faith, you know, in this team, in this system. And, you know, knowing that you have that behind you makes it a lot easier to come out after having lost two games earlier today, taking on your biggest competitor and say, you know what, we can do this. And all of that kind of starts with him and starts with that just foundation of confidence that he has in his players.
It's translated into a 6-point lead late in the second half.
Fury looking to wrap this thing up.
And Hardcap looming. So if you're Scandal, you're Guesquière, what is your, let's say we come out, they make the bracket, we get the rematch we want, we're in the finals, Scandal versus Fury again. What is Guesquière going to tell his team coming out in this situation?
I mean, I think for one thing, they have to feel that they've earned this place. You know, they can't come in feeling like they're the underdogs anymore. They're not. And they can't play like they're the underdogs. They have to take that kind of definitive, you know, kind of chutzpah out on the field and say, I'm going to get the better of my matchup, and I don't care what happens. And we just didn't see that from them today. Very tentative, you know, looks like this. Often players who, you know, should be coming down with the disc, just making drops, unforced errors. And we give the disc back to Fury, looking to just close this game out right here with a 7-point lead.
Fury holding on. Nazarov. 14-8, looking to close this game out, but Keithley thought that was going to be the one to Howard.
I think Genevieve LaRoche thought it was going to be the one too, but still working hard downfield. Tired legs, but Scandal looks even more tired.
Keithley. Fong and Nazarov does it again.
Just a big game for Anna Nazarov today. Just always doing it with a smile on her face.
But Keithley, a call on the play.
Anna Nazarov has done so well for so much of her career, winning the Callahan for UCLA, playing on the World's team last year, took home gold in Columbia, and really showing herself as a dominant force today on this Fury line.
Observers setting it up. And it looks like a TMF given over to Fury.
And this being maybe one of those instances we talked about.
Oh, it actually was a false timeout call.
So timeout called with no timeouts left. Disc goes back to Scandal. Not done yet.
Thankfully for Fury, you're not in a Chris Webber situation. You're up by 6. John.
But that's, you know, it goes back to we're talking about energy and focus, right? And if it's not a game where you're up by 6 and you lose that focus and call a timeout, that could be the difference. So, you know, Fury needed to take a little note from that and not have that miscue happen in more tight games.
High stall situation. Finds Davis, and the pick called on the play.
So Molly Roy on the disc looking to keep her team in this game. Players getting their downfield positioning set. Oh, and a miss throw by Molly Roy just comes off her finger all wrong, and Chrissy Bowen able to get 2 hands on it for the Fury D.
Story of the game, unforced turnovers. Nazarov. Keithley.
Fury not getting a lot of great deep looks right now, but able to put together some pretty huge gainers.
Nazarov putting the finishing touches on this one. But Keithley inbounds for the score. The championship belt is back in Fury's hands. We'll see if these two can meet again in bracket play.
And it's been kind of a quiet game for Lisa Pitt-Keithley, but coming up when they needed her, she sees Nazarov in that power position and just puts on that extra boost to reel in the last score of the game.
Fury just outplaying, having the right strategy at the right time. And Scandal, you want to go back and forth. You can't say Scandal just lost this game. They definitely didn't deserve to win. Fury had the right strategy, knew what to do. And if you're Scandal, it's good to find this out now. You have a long season ahead of you. You have Worlds, you have Frisco, you have bracket play here. There's time to figure it out. We'll have to see if they're able to make any adjustments and see if these two will meet again.
Oh, I'm sure they will. You know, that first point was shaky for both teams. Weren't sure who was going to come out of it. Kind of the stronger, more mentally focused team with a game plan and execution. But ultimately, we saw Fury kind of back in control, back with their hands on the reins and powering through to a convincing win here in the final stage of today's play.
And Nazarov leading her team to a 15-8 victory. Fury with a temporary revenge. We'll see how that works out. Upcoming on Next Gen Network's coverage. Looking next weekend, we have the Pro Elite Challenge in Chesapeake. And later on in August 30th and 31st, we'll have the Pro Flight finale. For Megan Molteni, I'm Brian Jones. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for our continued coverage here at the 2014 U.S. Open.